Well, it is another beautiful day in southeast Arizona. Nice and cool today, at least so far. Hello again, everybody. Welcome back to Desert Sky Adventures. This is your Desert Sky Daily for Tuesday, August 8th, 2023. And today I'm out here again with my friend Todd from the OK Corral. And we are out here at a place I've never seen before, the grave of the infamous Johnny Ringo. We are about, 50 miles from Tombstone? We came down a dirt road that was probably about 9 or 10 miles long out here to this part of southeastern Arizona where I've never been before. And we're going to check it out, so come along. So made our way out here to Johnny Ringo's grave site. And as I understand it, this is private property, but the owners don't mind people coming to take a look. So if you come out here, keep that in mind. You can Google it and find out exactly how to get here. It is a bit of a trek from Tombstone, about an hour, a little more than an hour maybe. But we do have a sign here. Apparently you can come check out Ringo's grave from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. And it is private property, no littering, no smoking, all the common sense stuff. They have some nice vintage farm equipment sitting out here. Look at that thing. Imagine using that.
And from what I was told, that house is the original house that was here.
That house right there?
So, yeah. So what they would have heard the shot, because look how close it is.
Yeah, Ringo's grave is right back there. So that could be the original house.
Could be.
We heard it was the original house. We can't confirm that. Man, such a nice day today.
Oh, this is nice, and at least the flies are staying away. Last time we were out here, the flies were bad. There's the grave.
Wow. So this is where it all happened, right here.
That's the tree where he was found leaning up.
That is really amazing to see in person. I've never been here before, but somehow maybe it's because they did such a good job in the movie of making it look like the area. I think they actually filmed that scene around here somewhere. But this is the tree. So that brings up the million-dollar question, Todd. Who do you think killed Johnny Ringo, or do you think he killed himself?
I don't think he killed himself. My gut, I would have to go with Buckskin. Frank Leslie.
Yeah. I think I would tend to agree with that. I wonder where he was. So
If basically from descriptions that I've heard, right in here.
So right about here is where they found the body of Johnny Ringo. And there's so many different, no one is probably ever going to know for sure.
No.
But there's a lot of different speculation. Some people say he killed himself. Some people say that Wyatt Earp killed him. Some people say that Buckskin Frank killed him. But I was talking to somebody on Facebook about this, and they said that they believed he committed suicide. And I read in a book that they found him with his hat on. And there were parts of his brain and stuff like on this tree. So you'd think that his hat would have came off. The guy did have a good question though. He's like, well, did he have the little straps on his hat that keep your hat on? I was like, I don't know. They didn't mention that in the story. All they said was that his hat was still on.
Nothing was specific other than he did have like rags wrapped around his feet, so he did not have his boots on. I don't know. I'm not a detective, but there's certain things that don't add up as far as if you're going to commit suicide.
Mm-hmm. Like, why would you come out all the way out here to do it? If he wanted to kill himself, he could have just killed himself in Tombstone, you know?
Could have, but why do people do a lot of things?
Yeah. We'll never know for sure. But one thing we do know for sure is that this is where they found him. It's amazing to be walking on these grounds. You see it portrayed in movies and you hear about it in American history and stuff, but to actually be here physically is a whole different thing. But apparently he was buried right here. A teamster traveling from West Turkey Creek found the body sitting in the fork of a nearby oak tree with a bullet hole in his right temple. Coroner's jury reported the death to be a suicide. Ringo was buried on the spot. There were others who viewed the body and maintained that the July 13th, 1882 death of Ringo was murder. And therein lies the mystery.
And there's where he lies.
The final resting place of Johnny Ringo. Amazing piece of history right here. I've read in books and stuff that people say that Ringo was the kind of guy who joked about suicide and things like that. But despite all that, his friends said that most likely he wouldn't kill himself. But I was reading a book called Tombstone Mysteries about a first-hand account of a gentleman who lived somewhere in this area. I don't remember his name. But he said, I believe it was actually on the morning that Ringo was shot, that he saw Ringo charging past his house on a horse, and he appeared to be very distraught. He said he went out and appeared to talk to Johnny, or tried to talk to Johnny Ringo, but he just kept on going. He paid him no attention, and they were acquaintances, so they kind of knew each other. But despite that, Ringo kept hauling down the trail. Well, a short time later, according to this guy, here comes Buckskin Frank Leslie charging down the trail, and he went up over the corner out of view, possibly to this site right over here. The man said a short time later he heard a single gunshot. And I don't know. I mean, for me, that's enough to say that it was probably Buckskin Frank that killed Johnny Ringo. I know they had beef in the past. He probably had at least what he considered a good reason to do it. But you never know with these old stories from the Old West. There is no one here that can tell us what happened that's alive today. And no one saw it. And even back then, they were confused about what actually happened. So it remains one of the greatest mysteries of the Old West. Over at the Tombstone Gunfighter Museum, they have all the stuff that was in Ringo's pockets when he was found. It's a bunch of random stuff.
That's
nothing,
actually pretty interesting.
Nothing out of the ordinary, I don't think. He had like some poker chips and like some matches, and
I think he had a couple cartridge rounds. Yeah, it was just stuff like you and I would keep in the pocket.
And he had pieces of his shirt that were ripped off and tied around his feet.
Yeah.
Like he was walking through the desert or something with no boots. We'll probably never know how the events of that day unfolded. Even if there were witnesses like the OK Corral, there were several witnesses, but still, the stories don't always seem to match up. So it can be very hard to try to unravel these mysteries, and again, in the end, probably no one will ever know for sure.
One of history's mysteries.
It is one of history's mysteries. Happened right here on this site. But it's very nice of the owners of this property. They give you a little fenced off area here where you can come in and check things out. But you can imagine owning the property where Johnny Ringo is buried. That would be insane. It sure is pretty country back here.
Because this is actually kind of what I was looking for when we were out at Brunkhouse.
Yeah.
Was something similar to this.
Yeah, that's always been kind of surprising to me. They just buried him right here on the spot. I guess it was a easy and efficient way to do things back then. Because I guess that would mean that the coroner did his report like right here, right? They didn't take his body somewhere, do the report, and then bring him back here and bury him.
No, they would have buried him shortly after he was found. When he was found, it was reported. They probably did the coroner's inquest out here. And
just get the job done. No sense taking him back anywhere else.
Well, when you look at history in general too, it's just, you know, somebody died. It's okay. We're not going to hold on to them until we get to a cemetery. They just, I mean, those people buried along the trails or roads or.
I mean, you figure the closest cemetery to here is probably the one in Pierce. I think that one was founded in 1884, though, so that would have been a couple of years after this happened. Yeah. I think the next closest cemetery would be the one in Gleason. And that's what, like 25 miles from here, something like that? And that is a long way to go.
Yeah, a lot of times they would have just buried them where they fell.
Yeah, that makes sense, I guess. But there it is, folks. The place where it all happened. In the movie Tombstone, Val Kilmer. It was a fitting ending, but...
I think you have the owner of the property coming.
And it was highly unlikely that Val Kilmer... that Doc Holliday was the one that killed him.
No, Doc was in Colorado at the time, and there's no way he could have or would have done it. That was strictly Hollywood.
How you doing? Now, I didn't realize it at the time, but the man we're about to meet is named Gary Graham. He's a very soft-spoken fellow, so I'm sorry if he's a little hard to hear. I did the best I could being on location.
Good.
A little bit.
Yeah, I've been out here before. It's beautiful country out here.
Thank you. We like it.
Are you the owner of the land? Oh, cool. My name's Dave.
Dave, please meet you. Gary.
I'm Todd.
Gary.
Nice to meet you.
Is it
live right there? See the house.
the White House, right?
Yeah.
Is it true that that's original house?
Yeah.
That house was here when this happened?
No.
Shortly after?
10 years.
10 years, okay.
Okay. So
wow.
That's in that house was held. The people were here, but the house wasn't here yet.
Okay.
They were working on the mountain. They went back and forth, and then they started building the house. They finished the house in '92.
Okay.
Wow.
1992.
Let me go over here and get another look at it. All right, so we got a little bit of information from the landowner here. But this house was apparently built in 1892. So this house was not here when Ringo was killed, but 10 years after.
And they heard the shot, and they come over and they found Ringo. And that morning, they were hauling lumber out. They had a lumber mill up on the mountain.
Okay.
And they were hauling a load of lumber out, and they ran into Buck Smith way down the road down there. And they were taking a load of lumber to Tombstone. And Buck Smith asked them, "Have you seen Ringo?" And they said, "Yeah, we passed him on the road. He was heading up Turkey Creek." So he said, "Okay." And he was a teamster, hauled lumber and stuff. So he come up, but they don't know for sure. But the day before that, or that week sometime, Ringo and him had a fight, an argument about in a poker game, and threatened each other. And then, so nobody really knows.
Yeah, I think that's what I was telling you about.
Yeah, Ringo used to go over here to this house across the creek over here, which was the Smith house then. Still is a Smith house. And he used to go over there and have tea and coffee with Miss Smith years ago.
Okay.
Wow.
And then Wyatt Earp's wife, his second wife, came up to the house to visit my wife's granddad about Earp killing Ringo. But the timeline, he couldn't have did it. The time he was seen in Sacramento and the time he was killed, he couldn't have rode a horseback.
That's what I heard too, yeah.
You get one got back, but he wanted people to think he did. And Holiday didn't kill him either.
No. No, we know that.
That was a good movie, though.
It was a good movie. You said your name was Gary?
Gary.
Gary. Nice meeting you.
Graham. Last name was Graham.
Graham?
Yeah, my wife's a Sanders.
Gary Graham, okay. Well, this is an amazing little piece of history you have here. Thank you for letting us take a look around. We appreciate it.
It was a pleasure.
We have anywhere from 2,000 to 3,000 people a year come out. 2,000
to 3,000 a year. And you said earlier this is all your property is like 3,000 acres out here, give or take? Wow. That is a lot of land. Well, if this tree could talk,
Yeah.
it could tell us the whole story, right? This tree saw the whole thing.
Yep.
How old is this farming equipment here?
Well, when they used to farm this country, did a lot of dry land farming here. A lot of it. It's an oak planter.
Yeah.
And they've got a lot of it. We still got a lot of this stuff around. We're gonna probably get most of it and we'll put it along the fence here where people can see it. Not all of it, but some of it.
But this stuff is over 100 years old, you think?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I've got a few of those tractor seats.
Sometimes it's hard to tell, like if it's from the 1880s or the 1920s or, you know. But yeah, I could see that being.
A lot of times you can find the manufacturer's stamp or plaque or something.
Where there's no. And that old building right there, you can see. That used to be a U.S. post office.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But you didn't know that.
No.
The one right through the trees here?
Yeah.
The tin roof?
This used to be called Ilgus, Arizona.
Huh.
Okay.
It's got different names. It's been Ilgus, it's been Wyatt, it's been San Arizona. We got all the letters in their mail stuff that had out the addresses on it.
So that was an old post office.
U.S. Post Office.
Wow. Is there anything inside it?
Junk? Well, we got a bunch of our junk. Well, we opened it up and nobody been in there in 30-something years. And we finally got it opened up and there's a rat's nest that was that big over.
Go over just a little bit.
Yeah, go ahead.
Let's try to get a
You
shot
can go
of
down
it.
and take a look at it.
Yeah, I'd love to see that.
I could use a lot more like that there.
Yeah, the push blowers.
Oh, yeah.
That is some old school equipment.
Wow.
Oh, check that out.
Yeah. It's got the old grease hurts and stuff in here.
Yep, the old Zerp cups.
John Deere.
Hold on, it's got all the dates.
And they've been around a long time, haven't they?
Yep.
That's for greasing your axles.
Just beautiful country back here. It's so different from like Tombstone, even though we're only like 50 miles away.
Yeah.
That very well. Yeah, that very well could be. Should have asked him if we could look at that.
And probably, well, they've been here for 1892. Oh wow, that's a neat old building.
So just a little recap of our earlier conversation, but it was Gary Graham, right? Gary Graham. It's a nice gentleman who came up and started telling us a little history about this place. And right here on his property, he said we can come take a closer look at it if we want to, but this used to be the old post office. Did he tell us what year this was built?
No.
No. But apparently there was enough action going on around here to warrant having a post office. You can tell by the construction that this is very old. It might be early 1900s maybe, or you think this is from the 1800s?
With the logs, it could be older than that.
Wow. Well, I think when it comes to people who own historic properties, this guy probably takes the cake. I mean, you got Johnny Ringo's grave on your property. You've got an old post office on your property, at least 150 years old, be my guess. And then across the street over in that barbed wire section, it appears there is a cemetery, but it doesn't look like we're going to be able to get over to it. I'm sure that's probably Gary's land as well, but I think he went back inside, and I don't really want to bug him.
He said the 3,000 acres is basically all inside these hills that are around
Yeah,
us.
all of this that you see, as far as we can tell, it's all Gary's land here. So it was really nice of him to let us come take a look. And like I said, I'd love to check out what appears to be a cemetery over here, but I don't want to go up to his house and bug him. So maybe we'll possibly check that out another day.
But it made sense with what he was saying. It was on the other side of the
He's
pond.
sitting right over there looking at us. Maybe I can just ask him real quick. I'd hate to come all the way out here and not see the cemetery.
In this house.
Wow, that's amazing. So the people that, you said the people that built this house, they lived in there while they were building it?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what year do you think that was built? Nobody knows, right?
I don't know.
Same with the post office, nobody really knows?
She's got pictures of it when her grandpa was building it. We're going to redo that east side. It's still logs have just watered on it. This side's still pretty good. But the east side of it's bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, but still after all these years, it's holding up pretty good.
They are. Well, they are. That's a hand dug well, and that was dug in 1886.
Wow.
So they were
Probably, my guess, would give you approximate age on the barn. If you're going to build a house, you're going to have to build a well.
Yeah, the first thing they did was dug it.
So,
And dug.
yeah.
It's pumping water in 86.
So-
pumping water today.
Late 1880s, wow. And it still works, huh?
Yeah, that's
That is amazing.
Yeah, it is amazing.
All right, guys. Well, I think that's where we're going to wrap it up for today. But I hope you really enjoyed coming out here to the grave of Johnny Ringo with us. A place I had not been to before, wanting to see for quite some time. And my friend Todd here knew the way. And so we came out and checked it out. But I also want to give a big thank you to Gary for letting us take a look around on his property. He didn't have to do that. But just remember, if you do come out here, this is private property. So please be respectful. We did find out that there is a cemetery across the street, but that is a personal family cemetery. They asked that we not film that, so we're gonna go ahead and respect their wishes, and I don't really see a way to get over there anyway, so no big deal. But just remember that if you come out here, be respectful. There's plenty of people come out here and they leave trash, and they're very disrespectful to the history and to Gary's property here, and that's not cool. So feel free to come out here and check it out. They love to have visitors, but just make sure that you take all your trash with you and you leave it exactly how you found it. And make sure you show up between the hours of 8 and 6. And they are watching you, so don't do anything out here you're not supposed to do. But I think that's about it for today. You got anything else, Todd?
Nope. I think we got more than what we really anticipated, and looking forward to the next one.
All right, guys. Well, that's going to wrap it up from, I don't even know what town this used to be. What did you say it was called?
5 or 6 different things.
5 or 6 different names. But anyway, from this old area, southeastern Arizona, until next time, until the next video, thank you for watching, and we'll see you down the road.